I made a video last month where I was explaining a world and story that I was building, and I got into a disagreement with someone on the phone about it, right? So I realized I didn't mention what truly inspired the story. And it's a quote from Thomas Keating, who was a monk. And he said, God's first language is silence. Everything else is a poor translation. My interpretation of this is very disagreeable to major theology and religious systems. I think even if you're an atheist or agnostic watching this quote speaks volumes. Quote, God can be interpreted as the objective reality of our existence. The universe is an unfiltered experience. You look at the stars, you can feel pain, you witness tragedy, you find moments of joy in this. And look, this is objective science though. But the moment we start to describe these experiences and moments in life, and we start reducing the complex, multidimensional physics and math and biology and other events in our existence, the moment we start reducing these events into categories, or since we can't explain something, we'll throw it to God, ignoring the creation of consciousness, reality, and nature, we indeed create poor translations for our existence. Stoicism, they mention this too. They say that the pure consciousness is where you simply observe without judgment in silence. But when your consciousness or your ego begins to narrate your experiences in life is when you create your own reality, aka your translations. Your internal thoughts become your external reality. Mathematics and physics are the best, quote, translations we have, but remember that this is just a model. Math and physics is an approximation of the huge reality of existence that is far more complex and stranger than our human intellect and symbols can fully capture. So when he says God's first language is silence, everything else is a poor translation, the meaning is that the truth of our existence is only experiencing it directly, not arguing about it. I don't believe religion is bad, but some people have oversimplified and weaponized it. Let's use religion for an example here. In the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 20 in the Bible, God told Moses, "You cannot see my face, for no one may see me and live." The Bible literally tells you this. It goes direct hand to hand with the quote, "No mortal person like us humans can withstand or comprehend or be in direct vision or be in the presence of God's essence and life." Biblically and theologically speaking, the holiness of God is so intense, it is fatal. God is eternal and infinite, but if God is truly infinite, then God's essence is within everyone. But we can't comprehend the infinity of existence because we can't mathematically and physically articulate that in our translations enough to where we can explain the whole freaking universe, but also in every single part of our existence, obviously. But also our translations are just a cognitive interface. As human beings, we see trees, we see buildings, we articulate threats, dangers, and social structures, but we don't see quantum waveforms or the bending of space and time. We don't see certain things. We can't explain certain phenomena still, and other highly sophisticated systems existing in our existence, right? So you know what we do? Since we can't explain certain phenomena, or it's just too complex for us, or we just don't have it yet, we create translations. Me trying to rationalize saying, remember I just said quantum waveforms or bending of space and time? That's a translation. I can't explain that. Can I break that down to the deepest, most intellectual level? Even if I did research, I can't do that. Some things that we just don't know. We just can't explain to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? This is what the verse in the book of Exodus is saying. If a human brain was somehow fully able to comprehend the source code of our existence, the infinite scale, the complexity, and the indifference of existence itself, it will result in psychological collapse. It will completely fry the brain. It's purely incomprehensible. We'll just die. Like God told Moses. That's what God meant when he told Moses. Don't take the Bible literally here. I always say that. Don't take the Bible literally. Like there's always something deeper that's what's being mentioned here. But obviously people miss you. That's what I'm talking about with the oversimplification, the weaponizing. But what we do as humans, and going back to the quote, God's first language is silence. Everything else is a poor translation. What we've done is we've not only created a survival filter when we say we don't understand something, but we can also just be like, oh, God did it. That's not reasonable or rational enough. Look, I'm not atheist or agnostic, but I agree with atheists here. There is no objective proof of God. Doesn't mean I don't have faith though. It doesn't mean I don't believe there's something more out there. I believe in a Rosicrucianism ideologies and so forth about like Jesus and the Bible being an esoteric roadmap to enlightenment. But if you don't take every part of it literally, of course, because a lot of parts of the Bible don't include enlightening ideologies. A lot of different religious scriptures include enlightening ideologies, but not every single part of it is enlightening because it was modified for political purposes or a time period. But atheists are 100% correct. There is no objective proof. There's no scientific. But at the same time, over-rationalizing everything is also what Stoicism mentions about your ego, trying to narrate the experiences of life. And if you choose to make your narration that, I ain't gonna hold you. I don't think it's wrong. But the moment you use it for judgment, shame, rather than coexisting, that's when I feel is dangerous. But religious people, they do the same thing. They narrate their experience of life through religion, then they judge other people. They shame other people, right? Not every religious person like that. And of course, not every atheist is like how I'm describing. I'm just obviously saying that both cultures also have the same issues within the culture itself, right? You know what I'm saying? So this is what I said moments ago about Rosicrucianism and the intention of Jesus Christ, even in the Gospels. Jesus was talking about acceptance, love, the self-development is better for humanity. But once the church got involved hundreds of years ago and politics got involved and mixed in, it turned the teachings of Christ into a weapon. Bro, you don't, look, whoever's watching, you don't even have to believe Jesus Christ existed or be Christian. If you're an atheist or anything, you think that whole story is BS, bro, I ain't gonna hold you. The point is the story. It's the lesson. The point of the story of Jesus Christ was to help promote compassion, knowledge, and self-development, empathy, caring for others, salvation through self-effort. Not just, I'm going to pray all day. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, not all this nonsense. Not judging people, not trying to control people, not trying to translate experiences to have an opportunity to shame people or push religious dogma. And even from the opposite side, pushing scientific dogma or anything else. The point of the quote is the silence. This is the humbling objective of the quote and the Bible verse I linked it to. The human mind is structurally incapable of processing the infinite, raw reality of existence without any sort of buffering or glitch. Whether you call it like Exodus, the quote, face of God, whether you believe this is because the face of God is too infinite, or maybe you call it the uncalculated physics of the universe, right? You want to be scientific about it. The fact of the matter is, the overwhelming direct exposure to this infinite existence has made us develop translations through language, math, the ego, and survival tactics. This is like staring at the sun without protective glasses. Like, you're just going to drive yourself crazy without, you know what I'm saying, or hurt yourself. You stare at the sun too long. And again, this is from both sides, the religious and the non-religious. If you obsess over the models we created, our translations or dogmas, you're just going to miss out on other experiences in life because you're too controlling. And this is the crazy thing that I have to say, because I think this is a bigger issue that people aren't really thinking about. It is a control issue. Some people don't realize they have control issues. They have authority issues. People be saying that they're religious and they understand God is all powerful and all loving, right? You say that, right? Do you recognize that? If you are not an atheist, you recognize God is all powerful and loving, right? But you refuse to surrender to their creation. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Tell me how that's logical. God is all loving and powerful and caring, right? But you refuse to surrender to their creation? Okay. You want to control the sunset? Yo, you can't do that. You're going to experience tragedy. You're going to fall in love. You're going to do this and that. That's just part of the creation. If you're going to bow down to God, surrender to their creation and realize this is the experience they created and you have to live it out. And this goes back to the teachings of Jesus, because this is what Jesus was exactly talking about in the story. You want to go out there and you want to live life? You want to create the best for humanity? You want to grow as a person? You need to do the work with self-development. Salvation is through self-knowledge, putting the time in, becoming a better person. It's not about pushing your dogmas. Jesus wasn't going around saying, I want to create Christianity. Bro never said that. Bro was saying, hey, these scriptures that's saying in the Bible, you guys are taking this wrong. Hey, how about the interpretation is this? That's what Jesus never walked and said, I want to create Christianity. That never happened. And for those who have control issues, who are non-religious, Some of y'all are too obsessed over the dissection of everything in the universe. And by constantly needing to measure, label, and categorize every single phenomenon, you insulate yourself from the raw impact of just being alive. You're so busy demanding proof that you miss the poetry. You treat the universe like a problem that needs to be solved, rather than just the reality to be experienced. How do you grow as a person? Simple question. How do you grow as a person? How do you get wiser? How do you develop bonds with people, friendships, sadness, love, and even you meet people online, you playing games? How do you go through that? Everything. You live. You experience the universe, the existence. But people leaning too much into this about using their intellect as a shield. Bro, y'all be leaning too much into using your intellect as a shield against the same exact vulnerability the religious people are hiding from. That's the scary thing. Y'all using it for the same exact vulnerability, but y'all get mad at each other about it. Y'all are two sides of a single coin. This is why I said you can be atheist, and this quote that I gave speaks volumes. Yeah, God's first language is silence. Everything else is a poor translation. Live life. It's okay to rationalize. It's okay to have faith, but it takes away from your experience to live a fulfilling life. If it does, you're limiting your own existence. And some people, they don't realize that it is taking away from their experience. And oftentimes you may not notice it. Like I said, it hurts other people sometimes, or it makes you unhappy. You're too mad at people not following certain religious beliefs. You're too infatuated with the fact that, you be praying all the time. You be going to church, but these people aren't doing it. These people aren't doing this and that. Like, you're so busy looking at everybody else that, Jesus didn't say do that. I understand. In other religions, the foundation of these religions and their prophets, they didn't say to do that. And from the other side of the coin, some of y'all are too mad for people even believing in religious beliefs. Oh, there's no proof. These people are low intellect. Bro, the fact that you're investing your anger and emotions and letting it consume your happiness on a day-to-day basis, whether you say it's not day-to-day or not, whatever, we're going to get semantical here. But you're using it to control your life to an extent. I don't know what is psychologically happening to why you don't want to surrender and just coexist. This sounds like a reaction to something more than anything. Like maybe it's a cope or something that happened in the past to you. Maybe you had a bad religious experience. So now whenever you see religious stuff, you began salty. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe on the opposite side of the coin, you found happiness through religion. You found acceptance, or you found your life changed around through faith. But then you never dealt with the actual issues in your life. And now the people who don't have as much faith as you or are devoted to your religion as much as you, now you feel like it's an opportunity to maybe spread that. You want to micromanage or control or proselytize other people about your scriptures. You found something to do this, so you think you can do that to other people. And then other people are like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? This is what I mean about control issues on both sides. If you know God is infinite and all loving, then surrender. If you know this existence is complex, why are you getting so worked up about it? You know what I'm saying? You trying to ration. Nothing wrong with education discovery, but you also got to surrender too, even if you don't believe in it. You don't believe in God. And you just got to experience existence and make the most out of it. This is what inspired my world building story that I mentioned. In my story, I'm going to break down both sides of this. And I'm just through a narrative, obviously, and how people don't realize they're hurting society by doing this. They're hurting themselves, or they're letting their ego narrate their life or suppress their internal issues, or they're pushing it onto other people, or they treat certain people differently. I'm atheist. God doesn't exist. Look at these stupid people that following these sheep. Bruh. You know what I'm saying? What internal issue you're going through to where you felt the need to express that so much and try to bring somebody else down? I'm talking about from both sides, by the way, because both sides do. You know what I'm saying? Hence the title of the video. Anyway, what do you guys think? This episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. I'm out.